It really just takes one large, big, beautiful plant to transform the energy of a room. A bunch of small plants oftentimes feels a little bit cluttered. And generally, a large plant is much easier to care for than a bunch of small plants anyway, because they have established roots. They're going to be able to handle a lot more water stress, either from not enough water or too much. So it's a little bit easier to care for. And they're also not going to be outgrowing their space very often, so you can just put them where you like them and let them stay put. So for that reason, I've compiled a list of my top 12 favorite large houseplants that are perfect for putting on the floor, on plant stands, or on side tables that will really transform the energy of a room. All right, so the first one on the list would be the Monstera deliciosa, probably the most famous houseplant over the last 5 or 10 years, because everyone loves these large jungly leaves with those Swiss cheese holes in the middle. Now this is a plant that you can start small. I started this guy from a little 4-inch pot about 4 or 5 years ago, and now it is like almost 7-8 feet tall. But it should definitely be noted, you need to give it something to climb up, some support structure for it. Without something to give it that support, it's not going to really take off and reach its full potential. Check the video description for a link to a video showing you guys how to actually add support to your Monstera if yours doesn't have it yet. And also, if you're looking for something super cool, tie constellations with that variegated foliage, there's lots that are on sale these days. So, you can definitely consider getting something very spectacular like that and watching it grow to a beautiful large plant. Now, a personal favorite of mine would be this guy, the money tree, the Pachira glabra or aquatica. I love them because they really do take on that tree-like form inside. And many times they do come with a braided trunk, which is really cool, very unique, one-of-a-kind kind of look. You do notice that it does get very woody. That woodiness takes time. Best to start these as a medium-sized plant or larger. If you do want some really expedited growth, put it outside in the summertime and that will really help it explode its size. Like any of the plants on this list, or any houseplant really, putting them outside during the warm summer months, even if it's like 3 months, it's really going to help them grow so much faster. But look at these beautiful leaves. They look almost fake. It really does. Over here I have 2 different beautiful large plants. The first one is the Fiddle Leaf FIg, also extremely popular, also very viable for starting from a small plant. I started this 3 years ago from a small little guy, and it is almost 6 feet in height. I do have it on a little plant stand to give it a little bit of extra height. Some people claim that these plants are finicky. They're not. You just need to give them bright light. If you don't give them bright enough light, they will start to lean over as they search for that light, and that's not necessarily the look that most of us want to go for. Keep them away from hot drafts, from vents or radiators. Keep them away from cold drafts, from windows or doors opening during the wintertime. And that's pretty much all you need to know about keeping the Fiddle Leaf FIgs happy, and they are glorious, grow for years. Now this guy is a Dracaena, also known as a corn plant, a Brazilian wood plant. There's lots of different ones out there, different foliage colors that you can find. I love the ones with like the lemony streaks like this guy. You can also find some that are thicker stems, thinner stems, and these ones will also take quite a while to get to their full size. The thinner stemmed ones will definitely reach that height more quickly, but they tend to get a little bit bare. As they grow tall, they leave kind of bare stems, which, it might not be everyone's cup of tea. You can definitely find some good established size plants of your Dracaenas at places like Home Depot or IKEA. IKEA has, if you live near an IKEA, go check out their plant selection. They have some really good priced big plants. Now, one plant that has a beautiful, sophisticated appeal that's been really popular over the last couple of years would be the olive trees. They do really need bright lighting, and you're not going to get any olives inside the home unless you put it outside in the summertime, and then before bringing them indoors, allow it to spend maybe 4 to 6 weeks outside with nights that are in the 40s. They really need that warm to cool temperature change in order for them to set their flowers into fruit production. Do watch for scale. I had one that was beautiful and glorious, but it got a scale infestation and I had to get rid of it. Now here we have the umbrella plant, the Schefflera. There's really two kinds of Schefflera that gardeners will grow. The first one is called the Schefflera actinophylla. That's the one that has really large leaves. The plants will really get quite big pretty quickly, whereas the Araucaria is the more smaller variety, smaller species, and has smaller leaves and really maxes out at about 6 to 8 feet tall. But both produce that sort of gorgeous umbrella kind of effect, and they're very easy to grow, super easy to propagate, and they grow quite quickly. This one has about quadrupled in size over the last 3 years. I started it from maybe like a 1 foot kind of plant propagation, and look how big it is now. Snake plants might not always be thought of as a large plant, but there's definitely some varieties that get quite tall, like 3-4 feet tall easily. Now, when you're going and purchasing your snake plants, you definitely want to get one that already has some pre-existing height. It doesn't necessarily need to be a huge plant because they do grow rather quickly, sort of quickly, but you'll definitely, a lot of them will stay small. So you really want to buy one that already has that height so you know it's going to remain tall and continue to produce new foliage that is tall. Now, I love them because, yeah, of course, they have that gorgeous upright growth, but they're also perfect in darker areas of the home. I have one in pretty much every shady corner inside of our home. Now the Clusia, or the autograph plant, is called the autograph plant because you can actually sketch words onto the leaves. You can like leave your autograph on a leaf, which is kind of cool. Now these plants, they definitely need very bright light, tropical plants, and they also need very great drainage. It's best if they're root bound, and then anytime you water them, absolutely drain any excess water that might be sitting in that drip tray beneath. But they have a really beautiful tree-like form, and the leaves actually have like a succulent feel about them, which is very unique, super cool. I would absolutely recommend starting with a large plant though. So there's tons of different palms that grow really well indoors, but I was actually a little bit conflicted about adding palms to the list because for me, I like a really kind of like almost perfect look for my houseplants, whereas my outdoor garden, I like a really natural energy. But indoor plants, I like them to really look good all the time, and palms will absolutely get brown tips at the end of the fronds. There's really no way around that. So do be aware of that. They're also very susceptible to spider mites indoors, unfortunately. But you can buy large palms very inexpensively at places like IKEA and box stores. Now it is December here in Westchester, Pennsylvania. So we have our little Christmas tree. Now this is not a Norfolk pine, but a Norfolk pine would be the next plant on the list. Norfolk pines, they're not true pines, but they have that really sort of pine tree look about them. They're actually related to the monkey puzzle tree, which is a very cool and evergreen conifer. But the Norfolk pines grow perfectly well indoors for decades. They can even reach heights of like 6 or 8 feet, and they do make a beautiful little plant that you can decorate with Christmas ornaments every single year, and you can retain that plant 1 year to the next rather than having to buy one and throw one out or use an artificial plant every year. After this Christmas is over, we'll throw this one away, and I'm gonna get a Norfolk pine once and for all. Now the next one on the list would be the Ming Aralia. I don't have that one in my collection yet, but I'm definitely thinking about adding one because they have a beautiful bushy growth appearance about them, and they have a really unique foliage. But they will, as they grow taller, they will kind of lose some of those lower leaves, exposing a rather trunky appearance at the base. So do be aware of that. Now last but not least would be the bird of paradise, a favorite of so many of us. We're all suckers for that. I'm on the beach in Miami, tropical foliage that they provide. But do be aware, unless you have primo conditions, they're probably not going to flower for you inside. You could try putting them outside in the summertime, bringing them indoors in the wintertime, and they might flower for you, maybe. But also they will get floppy without sufficient lighting as well. So if you do have one and it kind of looks like it's leaning over, increase the amount of light that it gets, and you might find that it starts to perk back up. Definitely buy these as a larger plant. They're relatively inexpensive to do so. All right, so one last note on transportation. Let's say you found the perfect plant, it's pretty big. Now, how do I get it home without making a huge mess in your car? Because that's always such a hassle. So I'll demonstrate what you should do. Bring with you some like trash bags, whether it's like The white ones with the, the drawstring or big black trash bags if you're getting really big plants. You can also do this with newspaper, wrap the base of the plant like a Christmas gift, basically. But with something like this is a little hard because it's a ceramic pot. With a plastic pot, it'll be much easier to manage. So simply just take your pot, put the plastic bag around it. You can use the drawstrings, get it tight. And if you really want to, you can even use some duct tape to just really secure that in. Now, if you're assuming you're purchasing from a good purveyor, a good grower, the plants should be pretty well rooted. All house plants, the tropical plants, they should be well rooted. If they're not and they're like falling out and all the soil is coming out, that's not a good sign. They should be well rooted, so the amount of soil that would actually fall out of your pot during transit should be minimal. And if you do protect it with a bag like this and some tape or newspaper, that'll definitely catch any excess soil. And then when you get home, just put it right back on top. And then, so once you have it all packed up, just lay it on its side. It's not gonna get damaged if you just put it on its side. You might, break a leaf or two, but that's not the end of the world. You're still gonna have the plant hopefully for 5, 10 plus years. But with that, now you know what to look for, what kind of plants you should put on your shopping list next time you're on the hunt for a big, beautiful, energy-changing houseplant. If you do have any other plants that you think should be on this list, absolutely leave it in the comment section below. Or if you do have any other further questions, definitely leave those below as well, as I always try to do my best to answer each and every one of them. And don't forget, give this video a like, subscribe to our channel. We have new plant related videos every single week of the year. I'll catch you guys later. Ciao.